Sunny ways, my friends, sunny ways.
So the answer to that is to stop being stupid.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles, sort of thing.
Well, Lottie frickin' God!
You're ready to fight, aren't you? I can feel it!
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Sorry?
The servicing costs on the debt that you're going to have to carry, that you're adding to now, right?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
There's the funds.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
He's announcing a catalog, everybody! Hey, give him a round of applause! Come on, give him a round of applause! You can't afford a home. You might end up in a tent. Your rent is doubled, but hey, you've got a brand new catalog.
When I'm prime minister, I will keep my promises. Now, another promise. Let me try it again.
A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody.
We need to trigger an axe the tax election as soon as possible.
We'll do it live. No, we'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah, that's all that's coming off. There's nothing else coming off. Yeah, I'm not Justin Trudeau here.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Welcome to a random live stream. I know it's a little late night, but hey, what's better than late night with The Fringe? I hope you guys are doing well. We have a lot to discuss tonight. In fact, a lot of things have come my way that I think it's time to share with this audience. I think it's good to get it out there on the table. So there's going to be a lot to talk about with what's happening in the country, where this country's headed, I think. And most importantly, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let's get it started with a good old-fashioned roll call, shall we? Let's chime in. We'll be quick on it tonight, but not our usual roll call like we do on Fridays. Let me know where you're watching from. If it's your first time here, let me know in the chat. Let's see if we can get somebody from every province in the country. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. GNC South coming in from Redbridge, Ontario. Great to see you. Reg coming in from Spruce Grove, our future home in just 2 weeks. Can't wait for that. Welcome in. Great to have you here. Who else do we have? Nelson coming in from New Brunswick. We've got Mr. Bojangles coming in from Winnipeg. Welcome in. It's great to have you here. We got Ingrid and Charlie coming in from Okotoks with the LFG. Welcome in. Great to have you here. Bradley James with the cock of the walking baby. Welcome in. It's great to have you here. Atsuki Link, still in Saitama, Japan. Saitama. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Great to have you back in the stream. Jason joining us from Calgary. We got Vinyl Collector from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. We got Becca coming in once again, member of the Patriots Club, by the way, from Lloyd, Alberta. Great to have you in here. Currently in South California. Must be nice. Welcome in. We've got Marta coming in from Nanaimo. We've got OCD from Vavenby. Welcome in. Oil Patch Mark. Tuning in from Sylvan Lake. Beautiful town. Almost moved there instead of Spruce Grove, but it's great to have you here. Oil Patch Mark, welcome in. We've got Troy coming in from Ontario. Sarah's joining us from California. Again, more California viewers. Welcome into our American viewers tonight. Speaking of which, David Brewer is joining us from Springfield, Missouri. Welcome in. Keith is joining us from Elkhorn, Manitoba. Julia's come in from Ontario. We've got Lee in from Leduc. Welcome in. We've got Campfire Girl coming in from Chatham, Kent, Ontario. Carolyn coming in from London, Ontario. We've got Tim joining us from Alliston, Ontario as well. Melanie from Niagara Falls. Welcome in. Beaver Dam Man coming in from Lloyd as well. Canadian guy coming in from Scarborough, Ontario. Welcome in. Megan's joining us from the GTA in Ontario. We got Dragon Lord coming in from Innisfail, sorry, Ontario. I confused it with Innisfail, Alberta. Welcome in. Zylo's watching from his mom's basement. I don't blame you. Most people can't even get out of their basements these days with the cost of living. It's about to get worse. We're going to talk about that tonight. Mike TV Dub coming in from Winnipeg. Welcome in. Just me joining us once again from Florida. Great to have you in here. I know Paul's mentioning one thing I want to talk about tonight. We're going to touch base on that. Linda coming in from Toronto, Ontario. We got Tanamir coming in from Edmonton. Welcome in. We got Leonard coming in from my hometown of Winnipeg. Great to have you here. Did That Hurt coming in from Winnipeg as well. I grew up in a community called Southdale, just behind the Winnipeg Mint. Love Winnipeg. Love my Winnipeg viewers. Great to have you guys in here. Amy coming in from Charlottetown, PEI. We've got Gina coming in from Saskatchewan. Cozy World for you coming in from Calgary as well. Jason's joining us from Calgary. Joe Lyman is coming in from Red Deer. Great to have you in here as well. We got Jordan from Prince Edward County. Welcome into everybody. I seen an Iowa in there. I see Wasaga Beach. I see a lot of Americans coming in as well tonight, guys. Our American audience is growing here on the channel. I think that's fantastic. Look, we're neighbors. We should get along. Doug Ford's not helping us. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. It's great to have you guys in here. Great to have you in the stream. There's lots to talk about, so I'm going to skip past the roll call. So thank you to everybody who chimed in. Again, I see people coming in from Richmond, Virginia. My goodness, you guys. You guys are great. Don't worry, we're not. I see somebody saying Doug Ford. We're not going to spend too much time on Doug. We're mostly going to make fun of him because he deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. When we talk about DOGE, let's get started with that since we were talking about our American brothers and sisters. Talk about DOGE and how important it is that we have DOGE in Canada. Mark Carney recently cheated his way to the top to take the position of Liberal leader. I'm not going to call him prime minister because he does not have a mandate from the people. He's certainly not my prime minister. Neither was Justin Trudeau for that matter. But Mark Carney cheating his way to the top. I want to go over some of those numbers tonight with you guys on the stream. I've got a video coming out tomorrow about that as well. So we won't ruin too much of that video for you guys. But when we talk about DOGE, if you don't know what DOGE is, if you've been under a rock, if you're not tuning into mainstream media forums to find out what's happening with Elon and Donald Trump and the Department of Government Efficiency, or as they call it, DOGE, based on a meme in the United States, DOGE was brought forward to essentially find wasted money within the American government. And I believe it's over up to, I think it's $120 billion that's been recovered at this point of U.S. waste. I can't wait until they start looking at people like Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, all these Democrats that sat and refused to acknowledge and applaud families of misfortune during Donald Trump's Congress address last week. I think it's going to be great when they start pulling out the criminals and hopefully start locking them up and prosecuting them. I think that's going to be great if we see it. I wouldn't put it past Donald Trump to do so. But if you ever thought, you know, with Justin Trudeau gone or with Mark Carney, we're hoping that governments maybe improve when we see new governments come in, when we ever get a federal election. I want to show you guys tonight that things aren't going to get better anytime soon. And if you ever wanted to know if our Canadian government was corrupt, I mean, we all know they're corrupt, but this just kind of puts the icing on the cake. Why don't you take a look at this tweet that I've got from Table Salt. Great account, by the way. Table Salt 13 on X. Breaking, the government of Canada announces $272 million to Bangladesh to fill in the U.S. aid gap for intersectional democratic spaces in Bangladesh, gender responsive and inclusive education, community resilience through locally led inclusive adaptation. So essentially what our government has done is Elon Musk and Donald Trump went in with DOGE. They found this waste, essentially money laundering, going to random countries for silly things in order for people to pad their pockets. And the Canadian government, which is corrupt, just kind of said, well, if you're going to do those things, if you're going to leave open that gap for more money to be put in there, well, we'll just shove a little bit more of our money in there in its place. This shows you just how corrupt our government is, that Elon found this to be criminal activity. And our government immediately jumps in and shoves it in the pile and says, no, we can do that. We can contribute to that. Throw one in the chat if you think we need a DOGE in Canada. I know a lot of people aren't happy with the United States right now. Not the United States, but a lot of people aren't happy with Donald Trump. At least I'm seeing it on the channel. Anytime I show support for Donald Trump and put out a video, my videos are radically downvoted and I lose subscribers. But I think look at all the ones. We need a DOGE in Canada, don't we? Master Snatch saying, I hope the Premier of Quebec and Ontario are happy because now America is looking into new power projects. You know, Snatch, I mentioned that on today's video. Ange saying, how are they able to send money overseas when Parliament is prorogued? That's a good question. And it's one that I'll have to look into. At the very least, they've committed that money. So while they can't necessarily send it right now, they've at least committed it. This is one thing I talked about on today's video, that we run risk when Doug Ford opens his big fat mouth and essentially blows it for Canada. That he started the tariff war. Donald Trump, of course, had threatened tariffs. There was tariffs put on mildly for what, a day and a half? And then they were taken back and told, we'll withhold until April. But Doug Ford comes full blown and says, no, we're going to retaliate. I'm going to be the first to do it. We're not leaving it to the federal government. We're not going to wait for diplomacy. We're not going to wait for some form of discussion. 25% tariff on energy going to the United States. Now that was going to states like Minnesota, New York. Doug Ford just says, no, we're going to play hardball. He's since walked that back. This just shows how stupid he is. He had to walk it back after instating it because of the damage it was doing. I'm sure a lot of government officials were upset with his decision to do so. There was obviously pressure. I want to cite Doug Ford after pulling out those tariffs, because if you guys missed it, here's Doug Ford walking away from the meeting after pulling his tariffs, no longer wearing his Chinese-made Canada's not for sale hat. He basically let people know where he stands, where the world stands. This is Doug Ford now, causing a tariff war. The reason I say he's causing a tariff war is because it's not just the fact that he did this and pulled back and now, okay, well, Derek, there's no tariffs. They're not being pushed forward anymore. The first stone's been thrown from Canada. And what we're going to see is Donald Trump react in kind as things move forward. He's not going to, this is a businessman, remember, he's not a government bureaucrat. This is a businessman. He knows how to fight at the negotiation table. He knows what he's doing. If I were any form of Canadian government right now, I'd be taking the Danielle Smith route. I'd be looking for diplomacy, for discussion, because the last thing you want to do is go up against a billionaire who knows exactly how deep the well goes in Canada. Canadian guy, $2 super chat. I don't feel like Ford. I'd still take him over Crombie. Fair enough. But we're going to talk about that tonight because that is part of the problem as our country moves forward. Is that when it comes to our future elections, I keep hearing people saying, well, we got to go this route because there's nothing else. We got to hope for this because at least it's not that. We need to get to a point in our lives when there's more choice, better choice. I've said over and over again, we have to demand more from our representatives. We have to demand performance. We have to demand accountability. We have to demand that they work for us, not the other way around. I want to chime into the chat because I often get accused of ignoring the chat. I want to make sure I'm caught up with it as much as possible tonight. Who are you coming in? All 338 are corrupt. Through Danielle is the only one. I believe she's the only one working right now. Absolutely. Ford called an election because Usually, if Conservatives are in power in Ontario, Liberals get voted into Ottawa. Well, he used Donald Trump as a weapon to win the vote. This is the tale of how the Liberals are going to come ahead in the next federal election, and everybody should be scared about this. They will use Orange Man bad to get their votes. Keep in mind that on the per capita basis, out of the seats in the House of Commons, we don't have the Electoral College in Canada. It is most of the seats within the House of Commons to at least possess a majority government reside in Southern Ontario and Eastern Quebec. A lot of people are making excuses right now for what Pierre Poilievre is doing by saying, look, he's got to play the deck. He's got to play the game. You know, he doesn't want to piss off his voters in Toronto. He doesn't want to piss off voters in Southern Ontario. He has to do what needs to be done in order to win this election. The problem, and we talked about this on Friday's live stream, is it's not Pierre, it's his PR team. They are completely out of whack when it comes to how to appeal to your voters. I got into it with somebody in my comment section earlier today by saying, on X, by saying, you know, because they made the same comment. Well, Pierre's playing the game. What do you expect? Do you guys not see the big picture here? I replied and said, so what you're telling me is that you're okay with somebody going into government who's lying to other constituents in order to appease them to get a job. And we're propping that up. How are we no different than the Liberals? If we have to go that route in order to elect somebody, if they can't be honest, if they can't show you who they really are, because I'll tell you right now, if that's the case, it's going to be a single term. People are going to say, fool me once. They're not going to be happy with the result. And it's not to say that that's exactly what's going to happen. But if you're telling me that that's what's necessary in order to get elected, then our political system is broken. I'm not even talking about the candidates at this point. If you have to lie to your constituents to get a job, the system's broken. Completely broken. Art saying, I told you before, Ontario's Pierre Poilievre 42%. Fair enough. But what I'm saying is that if Pierre turned around tomorrow and started saying, I'll negotiate with Donald Trump, I'm not going to fight Donald Trump. I want to put Canada first. I want to fix the border. I don't want to print billions of dollars in aid funds for workers. I want to get people back to work. Can you imagine what that's going to do for those who have Trump derangement syndrome in Southern Ontario? Like, I'm trying to talk about reality here. I'm not rocking the boat. I'm not crapping on Pierre. I'm talking about the statistics of voters and what we know from the average voters in those areas and their behaviors in voting. We're going to see a massive problem. But at the same time, when people preach that we live in a democracy, is it fair to manipulate those people to get the vote just so you can get into office and then flip-flop and change? Where do we draw the line? Jason, $6.99 super chat. The feds are going to take out Smith RCMP criminal investigation. I don't know if it's going to go that far. Thank you for the super chat. It's the problem that we've got, and let me touch on the energy issue here, because I don't want to get off point on that, because I'd mentioned to Snatch earlier, we talked about that in a video. When you look at what Doug Ford's done, and Snatch was talking to me about this the other night, all that has to happen now is for America to start looking at alternative energy, meaning a nuclear plant, building other facilities to house electricity, to generate electricity, to produce electricity for those states. Will it take time? Sure. Sure, it'll take time. But what Doug Ford and the rest of the bureaucrats aren't realizing is that as soon as you push somebody far enough and they say, well, we'll just find another method, like Canada's trying to do right now with their oil and gas, with all of their products, when they say we don't want to be dependent on America as a trade partner anymore. Well, the problem with that is you cut them out and it costs trillions of dollars that you'll never get back. The solution is simple for the United States. We build more energy plants. We look into nuclear. We look into some form of production that can handle the needs of the people in those states. And then we don't need Canada anymore. What's Ontario going to do at that point? Ask for more transfer payments? Scary. Canadian guy, $5 super chat. I sure don't trust Carney after appointing Mendocino, guy responsible for Paul Bernardo. I'm going to talk about that too. Did Derek just get shocked politicians lie? No. Before we get into what happened with Mark Carney, with Mendocino, with everything, this is going to be a very difficult discussion to have with the stream, with our community, with everyone. And I'm going to try to have it in the best format possible so that I'm not rocking any boats, so I'm not making anybody mad. I'm going to start it by citing a tweet that I put out. Because there's a tweet I put out yesterday. And a lot of people were saying it sounded cryptic. It sounded cryptic. I want to clear it up because it's going to get into what I have to talk about tonight. The main reason I wanted to have this stream tonight. Let's take a look here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Today, meaning yesterday, I witnessed manipulation against Canadians beyond Mark Carney. This is part of a double-edged sword of covering politics. I've been told I'm fooling myself that this country is able to be saved. The more truths I found out about our system and how it works behind the scenes, the more I'm convinced those who claimed I was foolish were correct. Everyone is being played. What did I mean by that? What was so cryptic about what I was talking about? If you guys remember, a couple months back, back in the fall, I came to everybody on this stream and said, look, I want to be transparent with everybody. I want to be open with everybody about the information I'm given, because this channel was founded on putting out truth, on trying to put out what you couldn't find from mainstream outlets. I've seen people in comments saying I'm Timu Alex Jones for doing that. Call it whatever you want to. I really don't care. This channel, I'm going to give you some brief history because it goes into what I have to talk about as to why this channel was started. I had no intentions of getting into YouTube at any point in my life. When How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom went bestseller for 6 weeks at the #1 position on Amazon. It was Clyde Do Something who pulled me aside and said, look, at some point in time, those books will be dethroned. You've got some good ideas. You should really get onto YouTube, start a channel, and push the message. If you care about the country, if you care about what's happening in Canada, you should join the rest of us and get online and add to the list of people that are trying to get out the news that others won't put out. And I took that advice and said, okay, let's do it. The reason I got into YouTube wasn't for financial gain. It wasn't for notoriety. It was to build a community, which I've achieved. I've done. It was to make sure that while more and more people were cutting out mainstream media, because we all know how fake that news is, that people had an ability to come here and get the news and the information that others didn't want to talk about. I came to you guys in the fall and said I had been handed a list of potential influencers, potential content creators that had a leg up and maybe working in conjunction with governments for access, for domination over other channels, and for other purposes entirely, other than trying to get out a message. What's funny about that is I've been approached yesterday by that source, and it blew my mind. I'm not going to name names, but I will share with you some of the information that was given to me, to a certain degree. I have to be very careful how I say this. This outlet I met at like a media convention, like a get together of journalists, content creators, influencers. Since then, we connected, and they came to me originally in the fall and recently because they've kind of pulled a Klaus Schwab. They've gone into other channels' discords. They've gone into access to information on certain YouTubers. You'll find that if you were to do reverse image searches on people, you can find out their real names. You can find out their Facebook profiles, their Instagrams, their email addresses, everything. If you're not protected online, there's a lot of information out there on the internet. This group has been very concerned about the motives of people that have gotten into social media. And through access to information and throughout their own digging and from sitting on other people's discords, getting screen grabs, getting audio, getting discussions, open forum discussions between community viewers, between creators, it's become very apparent that there are content creators in this realm that push information even to this community that are not being honest with you. I'm not going to name names because they're going to do it for me when they're ready. They spoke with me about doing that, and I said, look, this has turned into a full-time job for me. I have a family to look after. I'm not going to torpedo this channel coming out and exposing ulterior motives of other channels. I can tell you that just so that those channels that do watch this channel are aware that I'm not bluffing on that information, I have been told that one of these content creators was arrested less than a year and a half ago for domestic violence against their significant other. I can tell you that another one has political aspirations and they're using YouTube to prop themselves up, to give them a leg into government, similar to how Andrew Lawton left True North News to become a conservative MP. What's happened is that conservative and other parties have reached out to certain YouTubers, certain content creators, journalists. I've been shown screen grabs, lists, conversations, audio logs that show discussions of taking down other channels by downvoting videos, by emailing MPs, and I'll have proof of that in a moment. I have proof from their own mouths via audio that they seek to indoctrinate for the purpose of boosted views, access, and essentially being propped up over others. And I'm going to let this other outfit expose those people by name because it is not my job to do so. But for anybody who thinks I'm BSing, for anybody who thinks, oh, Derek, you're just jealous, you're mad, I want to share something with you. Because this has been going on for quite some time. This channel has been targeted by other entities, we'll say. And again, I've been sent the discussions in Discords. I've been sent the audio logs. I've been sent the screen grabs. And I've gone through them all. And I may be hanging on to that to talk to my lawyers. What I can share with you is an email that was sent to me back in January. This was sent to Danielle Smith's office. They BCC'd me. Now, this is a bot email address. That's the reason I'm sharing this, because I was told that this is a bot email. Danielle Smith, please watch out for Derek. He's an agent for the Liberal Party trying to encourage people to go over there. I would be careful around him. I have over 24 of these emails that have been sent to all the MPs that I have connections with. I have emails that have been sent to the Premier. I have emails that have been sent to fellow content creators that people have BCC'd me on saying, don't talk to this guy. Don't have anything to do with him. He's poison. And in return for taking down this channel, not only do they get the satisfaction that competition goes down, but they get access. They get more success. They make more money. They can control the direction of information. I've got some sour news that no matter how bad I get canceled, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. I've had threatening emails. I've had people tell me not to leave my home. I've had people telling me that my family will be in danger if they see me in public. That's part of being on social media. That's part of being on camera, being on YouTube. I can assure you I'm not concerned for my safety. I am not worried about my future whatsoever. But it goes even deeper than that. Because I have told you guys that my idea last week was to reach out to Pierre Poilievre, that I wanted to get Pierre on the channel because he was avoiding podcasts. I wanted to help boost his image, that I would reach out to his assistant. Many emails have been sent to Pierre's camp on behalf of Unacceptable Fringe to be told, don't entertain this person. Don't speak with them. Let's share some more. Just to show that I've sent that message, because a lot of people claim, hey, you don't know Pierre. You're not connected to Pierre in any way, shape, or form. Here is the text message. Now, I'm not going to show the last name of Pierre's assistant, but here it is. Matthew, Derek Smith here. I wanted to reach out one last time in response to the pushback from American podcaster PBD. Well, I don't agree Pierre should be sitting down with American channels. I do believe Pierre should pivot his numbers by sitting down with independents like myself. I will implore you to consider again. Preston Manning said to me he believes this would be beneficial to see Pierre's human side, and this is what I am proposing. I wish to sit down with Pierre to interview him on who he is, what made him get into politics, etc. No gotchas, no politics. I have multiple large channels prepared to help and do the same, including The Pleb, Viva Fry, Moose on the Loose, and Clinton Jaws. We want a conservative majority. And speaking to his base, we feel a safe strategy to humanizing Pierre. I've pitched this idea to my dear friend, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, and he has said he feels it would be beneficial a move. I implore you to please reach out to book these interviews. We would be very careful and do not want to jeopardize Pierre's platform in any way. And you can see here with the check marks, it was accepted, and I've been ghosted. Now, when I say The Pleb, Viva Fry, now these are people I'm in contact with. I have contact to The Pleb. I have contact through Viva Fry, as well as Clinton Jaws. I know The Pleb knows Moose on the Loose. So I was willing to push those interviews to Pierre. Let's talk. Let's work together. Not even a response. I have since emailed MPs that I know in the House of Commons. No responses. Because of these floods of emails. At least that's what one can assume, is that I've been blacklisted. Because I dare question the future incoming government. And because other entities are to be given preferential treatment and access. I'm not bitter about this. Like I said, those channels can try to push the fringe out. I'm sticking around. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm not going to name those channels. I'm going to allow this other entity to do so. Again, they have a large file. They knew a lot about me through the information they found. So that's how I know they're not legit, or they're not bullshitting. I looked at the police report for the YouTuber that was arrested. I've seen the information. It's legit. The problem I have is that some of these influencers I once considered colleagues. I've shared discussions with many people in this realm, and it's sad to see that a lot of them are in this for reasons beyond getting the information out. I hope they change their tune before this information comes along. I really do. When this other entity is going to share that information, I have no idea. But they've done their due diligence. The problem I have is that people once listened to mainstream media and they found it to be fake news. YouTube, the green channel that I can't mention because I'll get slammed down by YouTube, other entities have surfaced that have given people an opportunity to give information to you, the people, that these communities were able to get this information out that mainstream outlets don't want to share. If these entities are in bed with government to prop themselves up, to have access, to have better shows, to have the right to process the information how they see fit, the problem is that it again weeds out other independents and then creates the same problem that mainstream media always had. You'll have entities left on platforms that are merely towing the line. And to mean that by example, let's say Pierre Poilievre becomes the next Prime Minister of Canada. And some YouTube channels are being told, look, we're going to give you bot viewers. We're going to give you seated super chats to make more money for your channel. We're going to game the algorithm so that you get more exposure, so that you grow faster. If you guys thought tenant media was a bad thing, this is the tip of the iceberg. It becomes influential propaganda extensions of the government. So if Pierre were to pass a bill that were to say piss off his base, these entities can come onto the new mainstream media platform, such as YouTube, and say, hey guys, there's an explanation for all of this. Don't get mad at the conservatives. This is why this is happening, yada, yada, yada. You have generated news. And I don't think it's fair to people who have found an alternative source for media to be treated like mindless sheep, like the mainstream media once treated them as. It's so Kim's saying it here. This is something I still don't like about Facebook, that it doesn't allow news articles. This is what's coming. Once this gets under wrap. And it's not just from the conservative side. I don't want people to think that I'm saying, hey, Pierre's in bed with a bunch of YouTubers. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about a list of people, both on the left and right, who are being controlled, who are gay ops. We all know folks like Rachel Gilmore stands a lot to gain from these things. But YouTubers who have Discords, YouTube who creators who give access to viewers, these guys have moved their way in. They have found information in chats. They have community posts of people talking about this channel saying, let's all go in and downvote the videos every time something comes out. He'll leave eventually. We'll completely bombard the channel. And while I can't control what viewers in a community do to this channel, I'm shocked that those discussions exist within these Discords and their content creators don't ever step in and say, please don't behave like that. It's uncalled for. It makes this channel look bad. I can tell you right now that while I don't step into my Discord very often, because it kind of failed, it's still open for those who want to go in, but I don't step in there very often. But if somebody ever came to me and said, people are talking about sabotaging another channel, I'd either shut that Discord down or I would go in there saying, if I find out people are doing that, people are getting banned. It's uncalled for. It's disrespectful. It's not what we're here for. We should all be on the same team. We should all be working together. There should be no hidden motives. It's very worrisome. And what I don't understand about all of this, what I don't like about all of this is that we're all being taken for fools. It makes me question that no matter what government gets in, are we ever going to be safe? Are we ever going to get the information we need? Are we ever going to be treated like civilians again, or like people in a democracy? Or are we always going to be treated as a battery farm? Are we always going to be treated like an ATM? Is every government just going to find a nicer way to rob us of the money that we make? Or are we ever going to get a government in that truly represents its people? Get mad all you like that I don't have qualms with Donald Trump because of what he's doing to Canada. But he's making things better for Americans. He's draining the swamp for his country. He's not taking a paycheck. It's admirable. it makes me a little jealous to say, why can't we have the same representation here? Why can't we get somebody in office in Canada that cares about their country before the dollar that's lining their pocket? So, again, I'm not going to out these individuals. The only reason I have given a brief description of what I've seen is so that those individuals know that this information is out there and that this group is very hell-bent on exposing those who are here for the wrong reasons. And my advice would be either come out and talk to your audience before it makes you look stupid or terrible or destroys your channel, or prepare for the worst, because there is some bad stuff in there. Real bad stuff. It's sad. I fell for it in 2022. I met people in these communities. I've been on all these channels. I've talked with individuals. I've made friendships. I've made acquaintances. I've sat down with some great people to interview, like Shadow Davis. I've sat down with Maverick Media. I've sat down on Clyde's channel. I've been on the Pleb, I've had the Pleb on our channel. I've been on Viva. I've been, we've all jumped around our communities. But to find out that some of these creators are not who they say they are, or that they're not being honest with their viewers, it's kind of the feeling I got when I was invited to Parliament Hill and I came home to my wife and she said, "How was it? You got to sit with Pierre. You got to meet all the conservatives. What was it like?" I'll give you the same description I've given on stream before that I gave to her, is that it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You go and you see the curtain and they pull it back and you see how the machine is working. And it's really hard to produce content in this industry, on this platform, when another curtain has been pulled back to show that those that you've shared conversations with, those that you've met over the years, those that you've come to call colleagues, are here for the wrong reasons. And they're potentially pushing propaganda, or could be in the future. It's really sad and disheartening. I won't go anywhere. I'll be here. If there ever comes a day where I'm exposed for something else, I'll take responsibility. I'll acknowledge it. What I can tell you, hold on. Clown Pissed with a 99-cent super sticker. Thank you very much. What I can tell you is that I'll continue to try and be as honest as I can. I'll try to bring you the information that I can. I hope more channels come out and state that they're not bought and paid for, that they're not going to be bought and paid for, whether it's views, whether it's subscribers, whether it's access, whether it's anything else. We need more people out there pushing a message. We need more people bringing this country together, not getting in bed with those who wish to divide it further down the road. Those channels are a bunch of Onisians. Wow. Canadian guy, that's a big word. I can honestly say I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's bad. Forgive me for not knowing that word. Thank you for the super chat. I saw it. See, which ones are bought and paid for? So I didn't take the information. I looked at the information that was shared with me over a Discord discussion. I don't have that information in front of me, so I'm not going to out those people because it could be considered defamation. And I'm going to let that group do it on their own. I'm not tanking my channel. I'm just warning people, and I'll continue to warn people, that even when you get information from this channel, and I've said it before, and I can be quoted, people can back up, I've said this before. Whether you hear it from me, whether you hear it from Clyde, whether you hear it from Moose on the Loose, whether you hear it from the Pleb or Jasper or whoever, hear what you're hearing, do your research, and form your own opinions. I'm not here to convince you how to think, how to live, how to act, or what to do with yourselves. I'm here to provide information and do with it as you will, but I will never try to influence you to think one way over the other. Any information you're given from any of these parties, sometimes you have to take a step back, look at the facts, and realize, is there a bigger message to what they're telling me? Is this about control? Are they trying to win over my opinion and poison my mind? Information is a very deadly thing. It's a very dangerous game, especially in today's day and age with the internet. Please, please do your due diligence. Please be careful. I've always said I'll be transparent. I've always said I'll be honest, and I'll continue to be as honest as you believe I am. But please don't take what I say as law. Please don't get into me with it like being like a cult. Don't think that my word is law, that it's justified, that it's the be all end all. I get things wrong too. Do yourself a favor and form your own opinions. Part of the reason we're in this mess in our country is because a lot of people have just heard the word of others and bought into it. CB saying you were shown the pig trough they were all eating out of in Ottawa. Kind of to an extent. And it was sad because I went to Parliament Hill with a smile on my face thinking, I've been invited to be honored. I've been invited to be recognized by the Conservative Party for this book that I thought was just going to be a little project. I didn't think it was going to go as big as it did. And I came home saying the illusion of what I thought was our government is completely the opposite of what I thought it was. It's a business. I've stayed in touch with those MPs. I like those MPs. I enjoy the discussions I've had with those MPs. But to find that a few emails from people in other communities, now keep in mind, these emails were not sent by any of the YouTube creators. They've come from communities. But to find that a couple of emails can sway them, that nobody reaches out and says, is this true? Is there something going on? Is there a bigger picture? No, it's just blacklist. Cut them off. I have to get to this because I haven't acknowledged it yet. $50 super chat. My God, Spiro. Thank you so much. 20 plus year coder here. I've been streaming and talking about how much Techfield has been captured by ideologues. I'm similarly attacked. Want to know why? The algos are built how they are. What makes Derek is talking about easy to execute? It sucks. It does. Thank you for the very generous super chat. My God, that is... Wow. Paul, $20 super chat. Amen. Paul, thank you for the super chat as well. Blob, $5 super chat. Please go to matrix.org and read about Matrix Client. It's a Discord clone that get integrated into websites that allows them to federate together. I don't know if that's saying that the information I'm trying to understand what you mean by that. If you're saying that the information I've been given is maybe generated, again, I've looked at police reports. I've looked at data that is outside of those, and I trust the person who gave me this information because they've sent me audio logs as well of creators talking that I know who they are. It's Pleb and Moose and Jasper have exactly the same message. Stay strong, be proud, open a door for elderly people, help an old lady across the street. I learned these ideals from my parents. And then it's blank. I'm assuming you ran out of room. Yes. Look, the whole purpose of this channel, the whole purpose of getting on this platform, of building this community of 50,000 strong subscribers is we have to love our country no matter how dark it gets, no matter how bad it gets. But we also have to look at the bigger picture. We have to ask ourselves, what's going on around here? What's happening? Are we being manipulated? When you look at how easily people were manipulated during the pandemic into don't talk to your neighbors, snitch on them, shut down your businesses, don't go anywhere. Disown your friends if they don't share the same ideas as you do. I talked about this in my video about JD Vance getting cornered by Ukraine protesters. If you don't share my idea, you're wrong. There's no agree to disagree. There's no dialect. There's no hearing what the other side has to say and being critical about the views that you're being given. A lot of people to this day are still very easily manipulated. And I see it with this Team Canada thing. I've had a lot of people unsubscribe from this channel in the last 2 weeks because I've said, I don't agree with the government telling me what I can and can't buy. And I've also said that I agree with supporting Canada. But because I say that I'm not going to completely give the middle finger to Donald Trump and that I would prefer a resolution rather than a fight, people are easily convinced and brainwashed to go another route. And it's their right, because as I've said, take what I say, but you certainly don't have to agree with it and you don't have to buy into it. Another $5 super chat from Blob. No, it's a free software you can use to host your own Discord-like server that can connect other. Okay, so that's good. Good to know. Thank you. I'll look into that. I appreciate the super chat. Spiro, $100 super chat. My God, reach out to me if you ever need volunteer tech help, brother. Keep your chin up and keep fighting. I appreciate that, Spiro. Thank you for the very generous super chats. My God. No, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I guess, like I said, when I talk about the comparison to going to Parliament Hill, the information I was given just changed my outlook for our future. Because we've seen how, and let's look at the bigger picture here. When you look at how Justin Trudeau used divisiveness over the last 10 years, where he talked about, we're all in this together. We've all got to pull together. Everybody's got to, and people on the left, on YouTube outlets, on different platforms were pushing that message. Influencing voters, getting the reach across. What happens when Pierre gets in if people on this side of the spectrum are doing it for them? Because they don't want to rock the boat. We need people to be transparent. And I've said this all the time. I'm sorry if you don't like that I have questions for Pierre. I'm still voting for the guy, but we have to question them. We have to hold them accountable. We have to demand better, or else it's never going to get better. People have said maybe Pierre's people aren't talking to you because you've questioned them. I'll get into that in a sec. First, I have to acknowledge these super chats that keep flying in, guys. $10 super chat. I have 50% Canadian blood trapped inside an American body, and I support you with all my heart. God, that is a very kind message. Thank you so much. Spiro gifting 50. Holy crap. 50 unacceptable fringe memberships. I'm speechless. To the Patriots, welcome to all 50 of our new members. Wow. Thank you. The support is unreal. Thank you. Jerry, $2 super chat. Jasper's dishonest for clicks. It's the wrong period. Again, your opinion. I don't want to badmouth people. Please listen, I'll acknowledge super chats. Please don't badmouth other channels in the super chats. Please. I don't want to make it seem like I'm badmouthing them. I don't want to cause drama. I really don't. I'm getting off that train. I'm not going to call out channels anymore. I'm not going to sit here nitpicking the things that go on because there's a lot of them that their day's coming with what I was shown. The bottom line in all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is this isn't jealousy, and it's not dissatisfaction. Look, is Becky even gifting an unacceptable fringe membership to the Patriots Club? I'll tell you one thing. See, when I see those, that's just as good to me as a 50 membership donation. Again, I'm very humbled. Thank you for the support, Becky. Thank you, everyone who's showing such unbelievable support tonight. You guys are, I've never asked for that, and that it's very humbling that we have such a great community. I say it in every video. We have the greatest community on this platform. Thank you. Derek, how will we know when this info comes out? Will we be able to find it? I can tell you right now, it will be everywhere. It will be everywhere. This is a nuke. Like I said, if you thought Tenet Media was a big deal, for anybody who follows politics, the work that these guys have done, I guarantee you it will be out there. They asked me if I would share some of it, and I said no, because I'm not going to be a drama channel. I'm not getting into that stuff. I'm not calling out other channels. I'm not going to ruin. You have to remember, some of these channels make a living on YouTube. They have families. They have kids. I'm not going to be the one responsible for taking down those channels. If that's the prerogative of these other guys, I'm going to leave it to them. I will leave it to them. I ask kindly that you respect that. I'm a father of 3 kids. I make my living on YouTube. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second here. Mike TV Dub gifting 5 unacceptable Fringe memberships into the Patriots Club. Thank you very much. Again, you got, wow, holy crap, you guys. Carnegie Carney, $20 super chat. This person you say that has the information, would most of us know who they are? And when it comes out, wouldn't YouTube or others block them? No, it's going to come out full force. It's going to, ding dong. Karen, thank you for the super chat. This entity that has this information, they mostly focus on articles and journalism. They don't make YouTube videos, but they have a lot of connections in the YouTube community. Regulars, once they publish the information and the information gets out there, perhaps I'll cover it. Perhaps we'll talk about it. I'd probably want to reach out to those YouTube channels to see if they had anything to say before doing so. But what I was going to iterate to that, where I ask the people, please understand that I'm not going to be the one to out that. And again, I fed some breadcrumbs tonight just to let those channels know that information is real, because if they watch this channel, they're going to know I'm spot on. That's their warning. And it's not a threat from me. It's that you should probably handle this yourselves before it comes out, and be transparent with your audiences so it doesn't damage you. Because again, I tend to believe we're all in this together. We need to get the information out for the right reasons. Jerry with $2 super chat. I'm late arriving. What's going on in a nutshell? I can't repeat all of it, Jerry. I apologize. I know you're a regular. You're going to have to go back and check it out, or at least the chat will have to bring you up to speed. Celtic, just to be clear, it isn't me. No, it isn't. In fact, Celtic, I keep saying it. We need to get you on here. I want to have a stream with Celtic. Throw a 1 in the chat if you want Celtic to come in. She had an amazing live stream and 30-minute video put out this week that a lot of people had distaste to. But again, it goes into what I'm talking about tonight. Not with the YouTubers, but the face of the next government and where our concerns should be. Go drop some love with Celtic Canuck. Put on your bell, join her live streams. She's got some great live streams. When I got into my books, when I got into YouTube, my wife and I, we have 3 children. They're all under, they're 10 and under. And when it came to just having 2 kids, the discussion came up about daycare. If any of you have kids, if any of you know the cost of daycare, we don't have the $5 daycare that Justin Trudeau talked about, $10 a day daycare. Paul becoming a new member of the Patriots Club. Thank you so much. We don't have any of that stuff here in Alberta, at least yet. I know they've talked about it in pilot programs, but at the time, to put 2 kids in daycare was going to be about $1,500 to $2,000 a month. And my wife and I looked at our finances and said, look, one of us is going to work at that time to essentially give our entire month's pay to a daycare. My wife said, I don't trust some of these daycares because they're pop-up daycares. I don't want my kids going there if we can help it. One of us should stay home. And by one of us, she meant me. Because she said, I've gone to college. I love my career. I've worked in oil and gas for a long time. I don't want to lose that experience. I love my wife. I value her desire to go to work. I value her proud nature of what she's accomplished in her job. And I told her, I'll stay home with the kids. The problem with that is that you're losing your income every month. You were either losing it to daycare or you're losing it by staying home. Things got really tight. I was very blessed after we had our 3rd kid. Daycare again would be even more. $3,000 to $3,500 a month. Who can afford that's more than a mortgage payment? So I'm at home. I could either work evenings when my wife comes home and never see her, or try and find a way to make some money. And of course, I was toying with the idea of a book project. Luck was on my side and it took off. And since then, YouTube has given me the ability to earn some form of an income. So when I say I don't want to expose those channels, I know how crippling it would be on this household if that income were to disappear tomorrow because somebody came in and bulldozed everything I built up. It doesn't mean I agree with what these other channels are doing, especially the ones that are pushing for access, preferred access, that are considering using these as platforms to politically run in the at a federal level by cozying up to certain individuals. And the reason I say that, even though I once threw my hat in the ring to run for mayor of Calgary, is because it makes you susceptible to toe the line when things are questionable. But I would be remiss if I said that I was okay with going in and bulldozing somebody's income who has a family, who has bills, who has kids, just because I've been passed some information. It would be very vindictive of me to do so. What I put out here tonight is a warning to those channels that you should probably handle what's coming your way by being transparent with your audiences, so that you can hopefully continue your work on this platform. At least then it's up to you. If it's the prerogative of this outlet to publish this information and expose these channels, that's their prerogative. But I'm not going to be responsible for that. If my income disappeared tomorrow, I'd be screwed. This household would be screwed. And somebody's saying, I thought you were peddling drama. No, I don't want to peddle drama. Canuck is blocked? She was in the chat. Yeah, there's Celtic right there. Clown Piss, thank you for the 279 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. If I guess what hurts is that these communities that have gone and emailed MPs and told them, don't give Derek Smith any access, don't give Unacceptable Fringe your time. He's a liberal. He's a shill. He's a Fed. He's planted in here to destroy your image. That's defamation. And like I said, I've kept those documents, and I have over 24 of those emails I showed you guys, which I may take to a lawyer. The problem is that when you go after people in court, it's a financial money pit. It's nothing more than your pride. Nothing comes of it. But my income on this platform has been drastically affected. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you go through my view history on my channel, you'll see that my videos have been losing views constantly because of the downvoting that comes from other communities. Because that's what they do with anytime you say something that they don't agree with another channel. Well, go in there and sabotage their channel. Go ruin their videos. Go ruin their livelihood. What I have a problem with isn't the channels. It's the people that don't realize that you're just as bad as the liberals that you're complaining about, saying that they have scandalous behavior, that they steal money from taxpayers, that they rig systems. You're purposely downvoting videos on channels so that they don't compete with the channels you like. That's a little pathetic and childish. But it also means that sometimes in a month I get to go to my kids and tell them, we got to tighten things up a little bit this month. And I don't think that's fair. Just as I don't think it's fair to expose those channels. Because I would shudder to think that any of those people have to do that with their families. Is there less arcades there, man? Says El Guapo. Yes, there are. These are the only ones that are left. The rest of them are in my garage packed. We move in 2 weeks. The good thing is these arcades will be here until moving day because I don't have any more room in my garage. So the movers will have to come and take these arcades out of the basement with the studio when we move. I can't tell you how forward I am looking to getting that new space for you guys. to building a studio, to having a proper set, better content. I'll have more time for content because Mrs. Fringe will be at home for the first little bit as she searches for a new job. She'll be on more live streams because she'll be available. She won't have to be up at 5 a.m. to get on a train to go downtown Calgary and deal with a bunch of druggies. It's going to be great. Please keep in mind when that move happens, it'll probably take a few weeks to get that studio built because we'll be unpacking, we'll be moving everything into the house, getting things organized. And I still have to put up drywall, build a set, construct everything, and then get us in there with cameras, lighting, and everything else. So please be patient. Sell the arcades? Why? Why would I sell the arcades? I have no reason to sell my arcades. What are we talking about? Jerry, $2. I love me a Celtic Canuck, very well articulated. If you're saying because I've gone to my kids and had to say some months we've got to tighten up a little bit, I'm talking about like radical expenditures. I'm not talking about groceries. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm saying that sometimes we can't, do the fun stuff people want to do or spend money going to movies or doing things like that. These arcades, they're not worth a whole hell of a lot when you sell them on the used market. And I'll tell you one thing I try to teach my kids is that selling your stuff is never the answer. It's a Band-Aid. It's not a permanent solution. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been putting out a lot more content lately. My solution to the problem is just give you guys more to watch. I'll work harder. I try to teach my children that with hard work, good things come, that things pay off for you. If I were to sell all of my possessions, what happens when I'm out of things to sell? W.R. Bokal Robertson, I hope I pronounced that the way you have it typed out. $20 super chat. Put this towards your power bill. Happy to help. Okay, thank you very much. I don't want anybody to think that we're in dire straits. We're not in dire straits. Lacey, $2 super chat. Thank you, Derek, for the membership. I'm assuming somebody gifted you one. You're welcome. It wasn't me. Do you have a WEF arcade game where Trudeau and Carney are the final boss? It'd be great if they made something like that. No, I don't. Jason saying, I love your old school arcade machines. I appreciate that. We're not in dire straits in this house. When I say that we got to tighten up, I'm talking over time, folks. It's the problem is that what's happened in this channel is that the usual income that's made by this channel has been cut down by about 30 to 40% because of the downvoting, because of the attack on the channel, because of these emails, the harassment. It's all part of the game, though. And I look at it honestly like a car salesman or anything like that. You have good months, you have bad months. My job is to just make more content. It's to do harder work. It's to increase viewership. It's to increase our subscribers. That's why I always tell people in the video, subscribe if you haven't yet. It helps us. It helps build our community. Even if you're a regular who just gets the videos and watches them but doesn't hit the button. That to me is more beneficial than a $100 super chat. So all these emails do, all of this cut income, all it does is it convinces me to work harder, to do more, to bring you more. Like I said earlier in the stream, I'm not going anywhere. If you've ever watched the World of Wall Street, World of Warcraft, the Wolf of Wall Street, Leo DiCaprio has that scene where he says, I'm not effing leaving. I'm not. I'm in it for the long haul, guys. I'm staying. Even if I made $5 a month, I'm staying. You're not pushing out the fringe. Torpedo me all you want. Blacklist me all you want. I have a very good resume with those I've had on the show. I've had Premier Danielle Smith on here multiple times. Despite those emails, her office has not turned around behind me. In fact, I'm constantly in conversation with them. Love Danielle Smith. I think she's fantastic. She's got a nice set of lady balls, I'll tell you that. Bigger than Doug Ford's or Justin Trudeau's. But I'm looking forward to having her on the channel again in the future. It's disheartening to see that the federal level has been cut off. And people saying I can't stand Danielle, that's fine. That's your choice. You're allowed to not like Danielle Smith. You're allowed to not like certain people. Again, and I'm going to be I don't want to say I'm going to be very clear. That sounds like a liberal. I want to be very transparent. I don't put this content out for any of you to agree with me. I don't put it out here to change your mind or to try and sway you one way or another. I love that you have differentiating opinions. I love that you see things differently than me, because it tells me that this country is not completely lost. If we all thought the same, if we all agreed and marched to the same drum, much like people did during the pandemic, this country would be in a lot of trouble. Even if it was done in the way that we preferred. If it were a country where everything worked for us all the time and every decision that was made benefited us, we'd still be in trouble if everybody marched to that same beat of the drum, because you'd never have anybody questioning what's going on. As much as people want to say that Canada does not exist in a democracy, it's a banana republic, we still have the right to our opinion. Nobody can take that away from us. And whether you love me or hate me, whether you come into my chat and call me a big fat fuck, or you call me stupid or misinformed or clickbaity or whatever you want to say, or you come in here and tell me you love the work I do, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your opinions. I appreciate your criticism and your scrutiny, because it keeps me on my toes and it convinces me again to do a better job. Pardon the coarse language earlier too. I try not to swear on these shows as much as I can help it. Most importantly, we got to have more cow.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
You guys are the greatest audience, the greatest community, the greatest mods any creator on this platform could ask for. And even doing these late night streams tonight, I thought, you know what? It's scary to come on this late. I don't know how many viewers are going to be here. We're setting a higher viewer record than we do on some Friday nights, including Paige, who just became a new member of the Patriots Club. Ingrid, you're awesome and amazing. We love you so much. I'm only awesome because of this community, because of you guys, because of the mods. You're not crying, I'm crying, or whatever. I'm very grateful for the platform I've been given. I'm very grateful for each and every person who comes in here. I didn't know if I wanted to stream tonight, because as I pack up my home to move, I find out from my father he had to go for surgery today that I was unaware of, to remove a mass because they think he has melanoma. I lost my mother in 2020 to mesothelioma. And when I ask him what's going on, he says, I don't want to bother you. I don't want to cause you anything to worry about while you're packing up your lives, while you're moving on with your family. I don't want to be a burden. It was very hard to sit with my father and hear that, and then sit around saying, I should go do a live stream and keep it together for everybody. But as soon as I see just one viewer in this chat when we start up those live streams, I'll tell you one thing, all those problems go walking out the door. And I'm so grateful to sit with like-minded individuals, even those who scrutinize me, and hear what you guys have to say in all of these streams. One of the things I found surprising that I talked to my realtor about when we went to Spruce Grove to purchase our new home was, I said, I never knew how many viewers we have around the Spruce Grove and Edmonton area that have been so welcoming, so inviting, accepting. They've really made my wife and I feel like we have a sense of community outside of this community before we've even landed there as residents. And it's one of the things that tells me I'm making the right move. Because for the first time in a while, when we make that move in 2 weeks, I'm going to feel like for once I'm home. And I can't wait for the meet and greet we set up to meet with those viewers. I can't wait to shake hands with each and every person who comes out there, to meet myself, Mrs. Fringe, to tell us everything they want to tell us, because there's no chat moving when I meet people in public. I get to hear what you have to say full on. You get my full undivided attention. I'm looking very forward to being there. Derek, I hope you'll read this comment. I read half of your book on the CB at a truck stop as a bedtime story and told people if they want to get to the end, they'll have to get your book. They'll have to get it in your bookshop. Becca, thank you. I can't tell you how humbling it's been just to see the reaction to that. You know, there's times I go places where people tell me I've got those books on my coffee table. My kids read those books. I never made those books for children, just on a PG level so that if kids ever got their hands on them, it wasn't offensive material. But I've always given my position on where I think kids belong in politics, and it's that they don't at all. But I'm always flattered when people tell me, you know, that book and all your books gave me hope at a dark time. They made me laugh. They sit on my coffee table to piss off my in-laws. I hear it all. With Justin Trudeau leaving, I'm curious how long those books will stand the test of time. But I can tell you right now, those 6 weeks where that book sat on the #1 list on Amazon, 2 weeks worldwide. Amazon Canada, #1 for 6 weeks, worldwide #1 for 2. I can't tell you how much it felt like I was living in a dream. We were days away from having to talk to a family member about borrowing some money because we weren't sure how we were going to pay our mortgage. My wife had just been laid off from her job. And again, I was a stay-at-home dad. All of a sudden, in less than a week, we make 6 figures. And I've got radio stations calling the house saying, we want to talk to you, and National Post putting out articles, and people demanding to know where this came from. And I thought it's going to be a fun little project to just have a laugh at Justin Trudeau's expense. The money was great. The ride, unbelievable. But the biggest reward of all is every time I meet somebody and they tell me what it did for them. I never thought in a million years I'd be a best-selling author, let alone a 7-time best-selling author. One of the best encounters I ever had was when I met Diana Hart, the sister of Bret Hart, widow to the British Bulldog Davy Boy Smith. I met her at a Canadians for Truth event held by Theo Fleury. And I didn't recognize her. I hadn't seen Diana Hart on TV in a wrestling ring or around WWE for probably 20 years. I used to watch when it was WWF back in the late 90s. And she came over with her son and said, I can't tell you how much I enjoy your book, that it helped me during the pandemic. It did so many great things for me. And I said, it's been an amazing ride. You know, so many people tell me that. And she says, I get it all the time too. And I said, I'm sorry, forgive me. Do I know you from somewhere? And I looked at her son, who's a spitting image of his father, by the way. I immediately said, oh my God, you're Diana Hart. To be told by somebody of her stature that I've made a difference in their lives, to shake Tom Forzani's hand and have him tell me that I'm all right. I'm a good guy. Tom wanted to back me in my mayor run in Calgary. They're amazing people. Amazing people. That's been the biggest reward. The smiles, the happiness, the reward of knowing you made a difference to people. Steph with a $6.99 super chat. I'm from Montreal and would love to go to Alberta because I hate the politics here in Quebec. You know what's funny, Steph? Thank you for the $6.99 super chat. I hear that all the time. I've never been to Quebec. I shouldn't say that. I've been to Gatineau. When I was in Ottawa, I took a quick trip into Gatineau over the bridge and then came back just so I could say I'd been in Quebec. But I've never actually experienced Quebec. So, but I do hear that from a lot of viewers. Did Daphne Devine come in? I haven't seen Daphne in a while. I hope she's doing well. There she is. Daphne, welcome into the stream. It's great to have you in here. Let's wrap up this stream with some Q&A. I've spent the whole stream exposing people or talking about the exposure of people and bad news in politics. Can Canada get better? I believe it can. If we stay positive, if we group together, if we handle our business, I think Canada can be saved. Paige saying, new member here. I'm in Maine, United States. The news changes like the weather, and it's refreshing to hear your view. Paige, thank you so much, and welcome again to our American viewers. I'm going to start covering bits and bobs of U.S. news, and I hope you guys will tune in for those videos, because I noticed my video with J.D. Vance didn't do as well as it should have, and that's okay. Nobody has to watch those. I want to start getting into, if I can get into U.S. and Canada, I can hopefully get into more world stuff. Again, it's trying to get into different algorithms on YouTube, so I hope if you guys see a video, you'll support it, you'll watch it, you'll check it out. Again, our American audience, I've been told by YouTube that 40% of our viewing audience is now American. And that doesn't mean I'm switching over to American or I'm going to stop caring about Canada, but I think that we can have Canada-focused news as well as bits and pieces of other things going on in the world that are relatable to what's happening in Canada. I think it's important. Hopefully you guys will stick around for those videos. You should collab with some US streamers, says Pure PKN. You know, I've collabed with the Quartering. I had him on the channel at one point. I do know a few US guys. I mean, I've talked to Viva multiple times. And again, I got him on speed dial. He's a great guy, by the way. We'll see what comes down the road. How do we start the negotiations with USA to become 51st? I don't know, because it sounds like a really impossible uphill challenge to get it to go through. So honestly, I don't know. There's Celtic chiming in. A community works better when you know your neighbors. I couldn't agree more. Viva's our man. David's an amazing guy. You know, Viva gets a lot of flack for going down to the United States, but you know what? He's happy. His family's doing very well. Great man. He extended an olive branch to me very early in my book career. Anytime I've needed advice, he's there. I mean, after talking to him just once, he gave me his phone number and said, reach out if you need anything. Very nice man. Can't say enough things about Viva that are good. Daphne becoming a member for 13 months. How do we sue Trudeau for what he's done to our country or to us? I don't know. Thank you, first off, for becoming a member for 13 months, Daphne. I don't know how we do that because of parliamentary privilege. This is, again, where I'm saying what we should be talking about at these rallies when we meet with our PMs, when we meet with potential candidates to be prime minister, we should be asking them these questions. Is there anything we can do to change Senate being voted in instead of selected? Is there anything we can do to change electoral reform so that we have a better voice in Canada? Is there anything we can do for recall legislation so that we can start holding our politicians accountable? VMI, $5 super chat. It would be worth Alberta becoming an independent U.S. territory just so you are a part of it, making Alberta even greater. I'd love to see that happen if there was no other option. I would be very remiss if I did not stand behind my country first. But if there's no other option, bring it on. That's what I say. But only as a last resort. I have to also include that because, again, I am Canadian. I want to share something with you guys while we get into the Q&A, because this really melted me today. When we talk about Americans, you guys want to see pure class? Take a look at this. While Justin Trudeau said, yeah, we're still going to boo U.S. national anthems, we're still going to act hostile towards Americans. Essentially, he didn't say that word for word. He did say we were going to boo anthems. Take a look at what happened here at a hockey game in Buffalo. Look what happened with the Canadian anthem here. Let's take a listen.
By McKinley High School Junior ROTC. And now the singing of O Canada and the Star Spangled Banner, performed tonight by Cammie Clooney.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us.
I'm going to chime in there because I don't want to play it all. Anybody hear any booing? Doesn't that show you how classy the Americans are being? And how childish Canadians are looking right now? Support your country all you want. I didn't hear a single boo coming out of it. Look at Kathy, not one boo. Thank you, United States. That's class. And that's why it churns my stomach every time I see our prime minister at the time saying, yeah, we're still going to boo. Because my divisiveness. And when given the opportunity, Buffalo, New York says, that's not us. I shed a tear when I saw that. Red Ghost Gaming, $5 super chat. I'm really tired of being screwed over by the government. Aren't we all? Something's got to give in our country. Something's got to give. Because we've been mistreated, abused, bent over without so much as a courtesy spit or dinner first. I'm done. This is why I put out my video that said, Dear Canada, I quit. I wasn't quitting YouTube. I'm quitting what their vision of Canada is. It's disgusting. We're battery farms. We're funding forever wars. We're told to just shut up and take it. Have you guys walked into a grocery store lately? Have you seen the cost of things? I shouldn't say it like, of course everybody's seen it. And everybody just goes along with the ride. Everybody just says that's the way it is. We'll just keep it that way. Jerry, $2 super chat. Booing anthems is disgraceful, just like Trudeau. Statement of the night. Thank you for that. I demand better from my government. If you want me to show my patriotism, if you want me to stay in this country, if you want me to be a part of this country and wave my flag proudly, you actually have to represent me when you go into the House of Commons. Not your bank account, not your investors, not those you owe favors to. My taxes pay your salary. You either invest me or GTFO. Chinese interference, says Phil. Of course it's Chinese interference. Let's share one last thing that I wanted to share earlier before I got on my rants. When we talk about the class of Buffalo, New York, have you guys seen what Elizabeth May did today? Drunk Elizabeth May. Defamed Donald Trump. I hope she gets sued because many people have called out Donald Trump and have been told to apologize. They've been told to make amends for what they said. Take a listen to what drunk Elizabeth May had to say. And this was in the morning. I'm curious how much she had before coming out here for this statement.
We need to have a government that remains solid. Team Canada can say to Donald Trump, go pound sand, or go suck eggs. Although, as I said, I now realize there's a tariff on sand, and they may not be able to afford eggs. Reminds me of his attitude towards women. He's a serial misogynist, sexual abuser, rapist. He's in the White House. What's he want to do? Take Greenland out to buy expensive furniture? Take Greenland into the dressing room? I'm sorry, every time I hear Trump saying he's going to get something one way or another of another sovereign nation, in my head I'm hearing, yeah, I just grab him by the...
Isn't that disgusting? This is somebody who claims to represent our government. This is where I say with Justin Trudeau, talking about booing anthems. First off, everything she said there was defamatory. I hope Donald Trump sues the ever-living daylights out of her. It's disgraceful. I don't care if she's part of a single-member party. She sits in the House of Commons and talks like that. She also clapped for a bad guy from WW2. Elizabeth May holds a U.S. passport. I hope Donald Trump strips her of it. I hope he takes her to the cleaners. We should be booing these people. In fact, if you live in Ottawa or are near Ottawa, It's absolutely free to go to question period once Parliament ever opens again. Maybe we should start going to the galleries and booing them every time they open their mouths, even if it gets us ejected from the premises. Maybe that should be our next form of protest. Maybe people should go to the galleries and start booing our politicians until they want to get their act together. Give them a taste of their own medicine. You're going to call a guy out for SA and for grabbing people when it's purely defamation? Come on. This is where, again, Buffalo, New York shows how classy they are over our representatives. Our country's disgusting. Via my channel, $5 super chat. I pained for the Canada I knew as a kid. You should fight for Canada first, but know there is an out if you need it. That's the best way to put it. I agree. Lori with a 1999 super sticker. Sorry it doesn't show it on the screen, but thank you so much for your generosity. That's amazing. Carnegie Carney, $5 super chat. It's an old video, but when singing the USA anthem in Toronto, the microphone stopped and Canadian fans sang the anthem. Yes, that was before all of this divisiveness. Thank you for the $5 super chat. That was before all of this divisiveness. We're taking the bait. A lot of Canadians are taking the bait. Like I said, I'm losing subscribers every day that I don't come out and say Canada first, F Trump. And it's okay that I'm losing those guys because they were going to leave no matter what. Anytime they got butthurt, they were going to go. And that's okay. I'm going to be very clear on what I think government should do or where I stand with all of this, because people have often asked, are you left? Are you right? Are you central? Are you neutral? Like, what are you, Derek? I'm a very simple person. Let me go to work. Let me pay my taxes. Don't waste my tax dollars. Don't think you have control over my mind, body, or actions, and leave me the hell alone. That's it. That's where I stand with any party that's in power. I just want to be able to work, live my life, and be left alone. And afford it. If you're going to tell me that I'm wrong for saying that we shouldn't be picking fights with other countries, that we shouldn't be pulling things off of our shelves to give a middle finger to somebody just because they've put a tariff in, I'd rather have diplomacy. I'd rather have a ceasefire, which, by the way, is on the way in Ukraine. Donald Trump already negotiating a possible ceasefire. Talk about getting it done. I'm so glad to hear that because it means no more money laundering for Canada. And people want to complain about Donald Trump? Oh, he's so terrible. Yeah, he's ending wars and he's helping out his people. People saying, well, he's not with the tariffs. No, he's not. But there's a bigger thing behind the tariffs. It's a lot to do with stocks, GDP, and everything else. We can get into that at a later date. But to say that the guy is dismantling his country or that he's harming people, give me a break. Carney's the finisher? Yeah. Honey, I Shrunk the Government. Oh my God. A book about DOGE. Wouldn't that be awesome? Gina, I'm going to have to give you royalties for that one. What an idea. All right. Well, you guys saw it on this stream. I'm going to copyright it as soon as the stream is over. We're going to make that. Gina, I'm going to give you a shout out on that book. We'll make it. It's DOGE that the liberals fear, not the tariffs. Absolutely it is. Canadians should be complaining about corrupt liberals in Canada. Well, we should be. We're not. Again, did you see Marco Mendicino being brought back in? All happy to come in. Keep in mind, this is the guy who froze bank accounts and helped invoke the Emergencies Act against Canadian citizens. Did you hear that Musk said that the mess from X was Ukraine? So it was DDoSed, and yes, I did. That's crazy. Sickening. I'll get into all of that in videos this week, folks. Let's do some Q&A. Let's try and end on a high note. Let's do some Q&A. I don't want to bitch all night. I'll stick around for some Q&A with you guys. Throw your questions in. Ask me anything. Anything you guys want to talk about? I'll turn it over to you guys. Red Goes Gaming, kind of sus that it came from Ukraine, you think? Of course it is. We should have Moose, Ministry of Oversight and Spending Efficiency. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. God, you guys are full of good ideas. Listen, I should open up a Discord for you guys to come in and shoot ideas, and then those who gave those ideas start getting royalties. Maybe it's like a community, like a co-op, and we start putting out some products. Marco wanted to use tanks, reminds CB. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. It's gross. What's your favorite 3D retro game? Oh, 3D. Probably Super Mario 64 because it was the first one I ever played. It's a classic. What type of unit are you using for your move? I'm not sure what you mean by that, like a truck or whatever. I've hired a moving company to come in and take everything out. I'm not in a state where myself and Mrs. Fringe can move this entire house by ourselves in a single day. It just ain't happening. So I've hired some movers. I'm gonna give them a shout out later because we're kind of working out a deal here where maybe I can save a little and help give them some free promo. But I've hired a moving company, and they're so far they're doing a fantastic job. Everything that they do, by the looks of it, is fantastic. Looking forward to having them in here. When do you think the election will be called? Asked Tamara. I don't know. I don't know at this point. There's rumor going around. Planes have been wrapped. It's coming right away. I don't think that's going to be the case. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do see an election right away because, again, if they don't call an election, it just shows you their true plan from the get-go is just to sit for as long as possible and destroy the country. Again, in a couple of weeks when Parliament gets back in session, it'll be interesting to see what comes out. We'll see, I guess. Derek, once you're moved, will you get Tiffany a nice new massage chair and get yourself one also? OAO is always the first to talk about the chair. You'd look great, and it would look great in the new studio. Mrs. Fringe gets to hand pick her chair. I don't care how much it costs. She's getting whichever chair she wants when she moves in. Once we get that studio going. Brick asking, what time did the stream start? I just got in. We started about an hour and a half ago. Again, it was a random live. I apologize. We did a poll on YouTube where I asked people, should we go tonight or go tomorrow? Because it was a late night. Because again, I was dealing with my father and his stuff. Glad we came out tonight. It was good to talk with you guys. Pure PK U-Haul, baby. I wanted to look at a U-Haul. The problem is U-Hauls only go up to a 26-footer, and with all my arcades and this big sectional that we have in the basement, I don't think it's all gonna fit in there. So I needed a company with a larger truck. What's your favorite gaming series? Man, that's a tough one. Probably Castlevania. I'd say Castlevania. It's definitely up there if it's not my top. Good question, though. Thank you. Will Carney revive Bill C-63? So I talked about that. They already want to criminalize X. They want to get rid of Twitter. You should go back and check out that video. I think so. Censorship's their game. DOGE is scaring the shit out of the filthy crooks. It should. Rightfully so. Anybody who pushes back on that should tell you exactly why. They're nervous as hell. Ken saying I'd have done it for free. I appreciate. See, this is again where I say we've got an amazing community. I appreciate that. Thank you. We got it. What is the name of your book? How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. We've got many. Again, that was a parody of The Grinch. But we have How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom, One Face, Two Face, Black Face, Blue Face, Hold the Line, The Ballad of Tamara Leach, How the Prime Minister Broke Canada, Just Axe the Tax. I've got a bunch of them. If you search Unacceptable Fringe Books on Google, you'll find me on Amazon. You can find all of our books there. What's that? $3,000 for the move? Well, it's not that high, but it's they gave me a deal. The sentencing was today. No, it was delayed until April. They delayed it again. If you hadn't heard yet, Tamara and Chris's trial has been set till, I think it's April 3rd. What is Carney's next move? Deputy PM after the election, assuming he doesn't win. You know what, Carl? I can't tell you because they're so unpredictable. So unpredictable, I can't even tell you. Are you in a neighborhood or on a farm near Spruce Grove? We're in a neighborhood. We're moving in town. Gorgeous home. Never thought in a million years we'd be moving into the home that we are. But that was the benefit to moving to Spruce Grove out of Calgary, is that with the equity we've built in our current home, we were able to afford a much larger home for less than we're paying in Calgary for our kids. They're ecstatic. I'm looking forward to it. And again, the town has already been very welcoming, inviting us in. Looking very forward to that. Tiffany's getting the Game of Thrones sword chair. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I'd definitely steal that from her if that was the case. Mighty Microscope saying, hey man, first time I caught a live stream of yours. Hey, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Glad to see you in here. Join us Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central. God, I feel like I say it all the time. Probably because I do. Join us on that. It's a U-Haul convoy. Oh my God. That would be unreal. I don't know how much that would cost. It probably costs a lot more than movers to get multiple U-Haul trucks. OAO needs a membership, but not with talk like that in the chairs. I hope he gets 2 extras. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, OAO should get a membership. Hopefully one of these days it randomly pushes one over. JD from SC with a $10 super chat. Thanks. Thank you. My God. Favorite cruising song, says Reg Porter. Probably AC/DC's Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be is probably my favorite cruising song. So for anybody who says, wow, Derek, you're really old. Listen, I was born in 1980. I grew up in the 80s. AC/DC was a big thing when I was growing up. I love AC/DC. Let me see if there's any more questions. Do we have any more Q&A in here? We're about to get starmered, aren't we? Possibly. Possibly. Jerry with a $2 super chat. Chairs go 50% off at Visions, holidays, etc. Appreciate the comment. Thank you so much. Again, I'm leaving it up to Mrs. Fringe. In fact, you know what? Last week, we went into a furniture store and we had no intentions of buying anything, but they told us that if we ordered anything, it takes 2 to 3 weeks for delivery. So we pre-ordered. Mrs. Fringe picked out a sectional couch that she wants in the new house. And all we had to do was put a small amount down and then pay it off once we move and it'll be delivered and ready to go. So, I mean, she's in charge of the furniture situation, folks. I just pay the bills. So, I'm happy for her because with the sale of the house, we got a little bit left over that she can kind of pick out what she wants in the new house. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to her finally having the house she wants, because when we bought the home that we're living in, of course, at that time in Calgary, 2015, Trudeau was just coming into office. It was our first house. It's kind of one of those, this is what you can afford. So it's this or nothing. And it's not to say that my home has been a bad home. I love this home. I'm going to miss this home when we leave because there's a lot of good memories in this house. All 3 of my kids grew up in this house. But it's nice to finally see after all these years of hard work that Mrs. Fringe gets exactly what she wants. That's going to make me the happiest man alive. Happiest man. How can Freeland get away with her nukes comment? I'm going to talk about that in another video. In fact, tune in tomorrow. One of the things I talked about was that I wanted to talk about tonight was how Chrystia Freeland apparently lost in her own riding for the leadership race. There's some input on that one tomorrow. Come stick around. There's going to be some good video content for you guys tomorrow. You're not old, says Mad Dog. No, I'm not there yet. In fact, I turned 45 this week. So it's going to be, it's a bit of an eye-opener birthday, but it's, we're going to hit up one of my favorite restaurants before we leave Calgary because they don't have it in Spruce or in Edmonton. Tamara saying, did you buy a new house? Yes, we did. We sold our house about 3 weeks ago. And we're moving in 2 weeks. 2 weeks Wednesday, we're moving. Which, keep in mind, if you guys watch a lot of content on this channel, I'm going to try to have as much pre-filmed content during that move. The movers come on the 26th. We leave for Spruce on the 27th, which is a Thursday. And then the 28th, I'll be doing my usual Friday night live stream, probably from my den/arcade in the new house, because I'll have nowhere else to film until we build the studio. But the live stream on that Friday will be up. It's whether there'll be content Wednesday, Thursday, I'm not sure of. Bear with me. The Tuesday night before the movers come on the 25th, I will do a final live stream from this house. But please bear with me if there's no content on those days. If there isn't much going on or much to talk about, I won't be able to pre-film content. I'll do what I can to try and keep you guys entertained. Favorite cold beverage? Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. McDonald's is everywhere. No, we're not going to McDonald's. We're not going to McDonald's. I'm going to a restaurant/arcade with my kids. It's not Chuck E. Cheese. But we're gonna go somewhere nice. Calgary looks good in the rearview mirror. Listen, Calgary is a wonderful town. It's an amazing city. I love Calgary. I've been here for 30 years. I moved here when I was 15. I love it. It's hard to envision leaving it. The problem is that socialist mayors that have been installed have let it go to shit. My wife doesn't want to live here anymore. And it came to a point where we said, it's not going to benefit our kids to stay here. And it sucks because I never thought I'd turn my back on Calgary. I never, ever thought I'd leave. Daphne saying, I bet the kids are excited. They're super excited. In fact, I got them set up in their new schools. They're really looking forward to it. Did you go to high school in Calgary? If so, which one? I went to Dr. E.P. Scarlett High School. In fact, I've said multiple times on the channel that had I have gone to Henry Wisewood High School, I would have graduated alongside Pierre Polyev. We would have went to school, same grade, same year, same time. But I met my wife in high school, so I'm glad I chose the high school that I did. Gonna be great. Gonna be great. Is there any good investments in Canada for young people? Well, no, Jack Daniels isn't allowed to be sold anymore. Oh, gold. If you can afford gold, buy any amount of gold. Nomadic with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you so much. And then a $27.99 super chat. Leave a message next time. Let me give you a proper shout out. Nomadica, thank you very much for the support. I really appreciate that. Reg saying, I'm sure you'll love Spruce Grove community. I already do. Already do. In fact, I've already said, like, when you come in off the Henday on Highway 16, going into Spruce, and you see the hills coming into the town, I've always said to my wife, it's the nicest drive. There's part of that drive that, even though we don't live there yet, it just feels like home. It feels like that's going home. You know, I'm looking forward on the 27th to coming into town, getting those keys and saying I'm officially here. Gorgeous town, great people. Looking forward to it. Going to school with Pierre would have been exciting. I mean, I'm sure it was. Hoser says, I graduated Scarlett in 1999, so you probably ran past me at one point. I graduated in 1998. My wife graduated in 1999. She was pregnant with our first daughter. I've talked about it before on the channel. My wife and I, you know, she pinned me down. She didn't give me many choices when we were dating in high school. She took full advantage of me. I had no part in it whatsoever. And don't ever ask her to talk about that, because she'll just make up lies. But unfortunately, Mrs. Fringe got pregnant when we were in high school. We lived a very cavalier lifestyle, and she was scared I was going to leave, and we called things off in high school. She ended up giving up our daughter for open adoption. And thankfully, the family was very open throughout the years. Usually an open adoption means you just get letters and updates. This family wanted us to join their family, to be a broader family for them and their other kids. So we got to have our daughter for sleepovers. We got to grow up with her and have her around. So my wife graduated in 1999. We remained friends for about 6 years in between. Grew up and then got back together and got married, because I knew in high school that I loved her. I knew that I wanted to be with her. And now we have 3 more kids. Love my life with her. Never would think about anything else. Just she's my universe. Did you purchase the house you were looking at previously, says Barry? No, we purchased a house 5 doors down, but it has the same floor plan, same layout. So technically we did, but didn't. But thank you for the question. Jerry, $2 super chat. Home is where your wife and kids live. Absolutely. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Nomatica with another $6.99 super sticker. My God. Thank you so much. Did you have Mr. Zubat for physics? No, I had Lederer. What was his first name? Mr. Lederer. He was great. What do we got here? Hang on, I'm trying to get caught up in the chat, guys. I'm way behind. See, I get on a ramble and then the chat keeps moving. I guess no money, no chat. Bye. Take care. Wish you the best with your channel, says Steven. I don't know if people have noticed. I don't just acknowledge super chats. I'll explain it again for people who think that I'm a jerk. This chat moves very quickly because I multi-stream. We're on more than just YouTube. The super chats are highlighted in color, so they're very easy to pinpoint and pull out, but I certainly don't ignore my viewers. Please don't think that ever. Up north, do you still see your daughter? Quite a bit. She only lives about 15 minutes from our home. She used to live in Edmonton. She moved up there for a few years, so hopefully we'll see her when we live in Spruce. She's great. Absolutely great. Remember your first date? Did you get stuck in the mud? I think that's what you said when you were late. Yes, Rick, that is what happened. It's a cool story. God bless for the adoption. So I'm an adopted child, but I had a closed adoption because adoption was kind of taboo in the 1980s. Met my birth parents, have a great relationship with my biological father and his family, my half-brothers. In fact, one of my half-brothers on my biological mother's side is planning to move to Spruce, which is part of what prompted us to move up there, to be closer to that portion of my family. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh my God, you jerk. Oh, you guys are the best. You must have lived nearby. So I grew up in a community called Woodbine, and then moved to Millrise, Shaughnessy area, which Shaughnessy is where Pierre grew up. I currently live about a 5-minute walk from Pierre's childhood home. I've met his folks. I've met his brother, Patrick. I can't say enough good things about people in the city. Again, people in Calgary, even if Pierre wasn't in government, they're good people. People in Calgary, for the most part, are good people. Grew up in Canyon Meadows. So did my wife. There you go. She lived on Canterbury Drive. I'm happy for you. At least my son 2.5 years ago at 3 years old. I lost my son 2.5 years ago at 3 years old. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that. God, that's terrible. I'm sorry for your loss. That's, man, that's hard to hear. Godspeed to you and your family. They are precious. Thank you. Certainly never take it for granted. Let's pick it up a bit. CB, you know what really grinds my gears?
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
All right. Hang on. Family is not always mean blood. It is who they're thick and thin. I couldn't agree more. Guys, on that note, it's getting late. I'm surprised a lot of you guys are still hanging in the chat. Let's wrap it up. Again, tune in tomorrow. Videos on the norm. They're coming out, guys. Got a lot to talk about tomorrow. 2 amazing videos rolling your way tomorrow. Please check them out. Please leave a thumbs up, a comment. It helps us. Again, when you look at everything we talked about tonight, other communities trying to downvote videos and everything else, help push out the Fringe if you enjoy the content. Canadian Guy, Jason, Clown Pissed, Spiro, Paul Ansty, The Blob Inc., Spiro again, VMI Channel, Jerry Leet, Becky V, Mike TV Dub, Carnegie Carney, Ding Dong Karen. I think I said Jerry Leet. If not, I'll say it again. WR Bowcall Robinson, Lacey, Paige Woodard, not Woodward. Steph Val, Daphne Divine, VMI Channel, Red Ghost Gaming, Lori, JD from SC, Nomatica, and Moonglow. Thank you so much. Thank you for the early birthday wishes. I appreciate that. Birthday's not till Thursday, but hey, I don't want to turn 45, so I'll just enjoy being 44 until then. Thank you so much to everybody who contributed tonight, who gave so generously to the stream. Thank you to those who gave generously just by being here and giving your input in the chat. I do go back and watch the live chat. I will be going back and watching it. Again, all of you do get heard, whether it's live or whether I go back and see. I wish I could comment on the comments when doing that, or the live chat comments at least. But thank you to everybody who was here. Thank you for listening to me tonight. This was a hard stream to put out. I didn't want to discuss that content, but it has to be out there. People have to know what they're seeing, what they're getting into. Join me Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central. I'll have Mrs. Fringe here smacking me around, making sure Walken doesn't make an appearance on stream. It's crazy. Miss Fringe, she's a little nuts. She's always walking around and telling me, shut up, Walken. She'll be here, keeping the stream moving, keeping things going. It'll be a little more upbeat on Friday. We'll try to keep things a little more positive. Unhinged Fringe is always where it gets a little darker. So thank you to everybody who joined us on those. Keep your sticks on the ice this week, folks. Look after each other. Thank you to everyone again who was here tonight. I appreciate all of you. I'll catch you here Friday. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.